Marketing That Works is the podcast for business owners who want to move their brand forward so that they can bring in more sales and clients. I'm Danielle Harris, and I'm bringing you what I know from more than 12 years of experience in traditional and online marketing. I have created marketing strategies for businesses of all sizes, from multi-million-dollar corporations to early-stage online businesses. Remember, some marketers chase fads. I believe in mastering the fundamentals. If you're listening to this episode right as it's being released, then we are in the middle of that weird time that's right after Christmas, but before the new year, and it's still break time. And although most people who have a 9 to 5 are off and letting their emails and work just sit until they get back to work in the new year, that's not always a thing for us business owners. Now, I do suggest that you take a break. Breaks are important. You need to rest and you need to recharge. But if you're anything like me, you probably have had your fill of breaks and rest, and you're just like, you know what, actually I want to get into some work. I want to do some things. So if that's you, you are going to love this episode. What I've done is I've broken down the 3 things that are perfect to do during a winter break. These are marketing tasks that usually get put on the back burner, tasks that don't ever feel as urgent as compared to doing client work or sending email or creating content, but work that would actually make a big difference in your business if you actually did it. And with most people not expecting work deliverables from you right now, it is a good time to actually work on these back burner projects. After you rest, of course, because again, you do need to rest. But if you had your fill of rest and you're feeling up to doing some work, these are my top suggestions of things to work on so that you can start the new year creating better marketing and growing your business. Now, everything that I'm suggesting is a one-day project, something that you can knock out in a day and that will help set you up going into the new year. All right, so let's get into the things that I want you to know first. And the first thing, and it's so important, is knowing your stats. And when I say know your stats, this is what I mean. I want you to know what emails perform the best for you, what emails got the most opens, what emails got the most clicks, what are the most common themes between all of them. I want you to know what content on Instagram performed the best for you, which posts got the most comments, what reels got the most shares or views, what piece of content got you the most new followers, or what post got the most external link clicks. This is the type of thing that I need you to know. And this is important for a few reasons. First, you'll get to see some insights into what topics are really performing well for you. And second, you'll see the similarity in the styles that people tend to gravitate and like the most from you. Let's take me, for example. The content that seems to do really well for me is vlog style content, like by a long shot, which is so interesting to me because I actually don't love creating that type of content. But when I do create it, I get engagement with my current audience, and I also get to be in front of a new audience and grab their attention. So really, that's a clue for me to consider making more of that style of content going into the new year. Now, by reviewing my stats, I also know that whenever I create content on making content creation easier or knowing what to say in marketing content, these types of topics perform really well for me also. So going back over and through my stats is going to really help me come up with a content strategy going into the new year, which is why I suggest that everyone do this, whether it's just for a day, spending, an hour and a half or 2, just going over all of your stats for all the platforms that you are on. So if you have a podcast, if you are a blogger, if you are on LinkedIn, if you're on Instagram, going through all of your stats, looking at all the different content posts that seem to work the best for you, that's going to give you a great starting point for creating a strategy that's going to work for you in 2025 and help you come up with ways to experiment and go deeper onto the concepts and the ideas that work best. And it gives you a starting point of, well, if they like this, maybe they'll like this as well, because those are things that are adjacent to each other. But those are only things that you can really do when you take the time to go into your stats. So I suggest spending about an hour and a half or 2 going through these stats. They are going to set you up for success as you put things together for the new year. So that is the first thing that I want you to focus on during this break. Now, the second thing that I want you to review during this winter break is your onboarding form. If you don't have an onboarding form, now is the perfect time to create one. And if you do have one, now is the perfect time to make sure that the form that you have right now fits your needs and review what people have actually been saying on them. Onboarding forms for so many of us, they tend to be something that we take a look at right when we get someone to sign on with us and then never look at it again. Something that I really believe is that looking at these onboarding forms is something that is really key to creating and building a great marketing plan, because a good onboarding form will give you a snapshot of where your clients are when they first decide to work with you, what their problems are in their own words, where it is that they want to be and envision themselves, and why they decided to work with you to make that happen. All of those things are key ingredients to creating marketing content that really speaks to the people that you want to work with. So reviewing what past clients have said on onboarding forms, updating onboarding forms to make sure that you're asking the right questions, or even putting together your own first onboarding form, it's so important. Now, something that I realized when I was looking over my own onboarding information is that one of the top ways that people are working with me is through referrals, which is honestly so good for me to know for my own marketing efforts. That means that someone who has either worked with me in the past or someone who has known about me recommended me to someone else. They looked at my content and then decided to work with me. And that is great to know. And that's going to help me make decisions strategically within my own business to double down on, okay, how can I strengthen the relationships that I have with people, and B, help me to diversify how it is that I can get clients. Now that I know that I can get a lot of people through referrals, how can I get more people through other means as well? Now, I also had a client who I helped go through this client onboarding review process, and she realized that most of her clients were mothers. This wasn't something that she was marketing specifically, but after realizing this, after going through her client onboarding forms, she adjusted her marketing to speak more directly to the experience of moms. And just by quickly reviewing this information, you can get insights onto how to tweak your marketing efforts to just get bigger results. Again, this is something that doesn't have to take so much time, but it is something that can get you big results in a short amount of time, which is why it's such a perfect activity to do during this break time. You can just go through, take a look at your past forms, and see what things are popping out at you. Now, the last thing that is a really great thing to do during the break and to really set yourself up for marketing your business into the new year is deciding on a new system that you want to improve on, specifically just one system. Again, we are doing this in the break time between Christmas and New Year. We are not trying to tear down, rip down everything apart. We're just trying to do things that are really going to set you up for success. And I want you to focus on one system that's going to make your life easier going into the new year. Maybe you have a Dubsado system that you have set up, but you don't have all the automations clicking. Work on that. Maybe you are just like, okay, I need to finally get a task management system together. Decide how you want to have that set up. Maybe it's a content creation system that you want to get into place. I want you to focus and think about the one thing that's really going to help you out. And I don't want you to be like, okay, I have to have all these automations. I have to do all these things. All I want you to do is decide how exactly you want it to work for you and what are the first initial steps that you need to do to make that happen. Something that I'm working on is updating my content system. For a while, I was working in Notion because I like creating in something that feels more like a word processing program more so than a database. But I realized that while I do like creating in Notion, it doesn't really work for me from a system standpoint of tracking and performance, at least how I have it set up right now. So my project is using an Airtable system. That way I can better know and track my stats and have my onboarding forms and systems and stats in one good central location. That's my project. For you, you might need a system to know how you're spending your time, specifically with clients, coming up with what are your client hours versus your business working hours, and having a system that works for you so that you know when you have time to create marketing versus when you need to do client work. By focusing on one system that's going to set you up for the new year, that's going to be so key. Because when it comes to systems, I think a lot of times we like to have all the bells and whistles. We want to go over the top because we're just like, I need to have a system and it needs to do and have the most because that's how I'm going to actually get the results. But no, I need you to remember that a system is simply just a process by which you do things. That's it. It doesn't necessarily mean automations. It doesn't necessarily mean all the bells and whistles. It just means an improved way of doing things than what you have been doing in the past, which is why this can be a one-day project for you. It could just be deciding that Instead of doing something over here, I'm going to do it over there instead. Instead of doing something manually, I will set up a Zap to automate something. I've worked with clients who tried to change everything all at once. They tried to do the most. And what happens when they try to change so much all at once, they try to go over the top with all the automations and all the everything. When something didn't work out, they couldn't exactly tell what was the thing that they didn't like about it. So they ended up canceling out and scrapping everything when that didn't need to be the case. They just needed to start off one piece at a time of deciding what is a process that they know would work for them, updating and upgrading that until they get a really clear vision of, ooh, this is the system that I want. This is the process that I want. And when it comes time, they can do this big blowout of all the bells and whistles of things. But that's because they really got granular and they really spent time of looking at, this is the process and the system that I really need that works for me and my brain and how I function and how I operate. So those are the 3 things that I suggest working on during a break. Knowing your stats, getting your onboarding forms looked at, and taking a look at the one system that's going to help you in your business. So after doing these tasks and realizing that, okay, I'm set up to get started into the new year, but I actually don't have a 2025 marketing strategy yet, then you should come to the free 2025 marketing strategy session I'm hosting on Wednesday, January 16th, 2025. This session is going to be designed for you to review what worked for you in 2024, what didn't go to plan, and how to use all that information to set new marketing strategies and goals for the new year. This is a free planning session where I'll take you through the strategy that I use, and you'll even get a chance to have me review your plans and get feedback to make sure that you have a plan that you're actually going to do. When I've done these sessions in the past, I've helped people plan launches. I've helped people come up with strategies for being known as a thought leader, helping people come up with plans for in-person retreats. So there is so much that you can get feedback on during these sessions. So to register for this, go to the link in the show notes, and I look forward to seeing you there. All right, until next time, I'll talk to you soon. If you want more marketing that works right in your inbox, head to the show notes and sign up for the email list. You'll be the first to know how you can work with me on mastering your marketing.